Hello again, YouTubers. It's Cecil again. Thought I'd give you guys another look around my car. The other video kind of cut off abruptly because the battery is getting low on my camera. So with that, I'll go ahead and show you some more interesting things on the car. At least I hope you find her interesting. Here we go. As you can see, I've got the car turned up right now so that you can actually see a little better. Where it was turned up on the rotisserie earlier, it's kind of difficult and disorienting to see what was going on. This is a little bit better view to where you can actually kind of see the inside. As you can see, I've still got some work to do on the firewall where I've welded those engine bay panels and stuff in. Also had some issues to deal with the rain gutters. This is another common area that was real prone to rust on the Mustangs. That weld that ran down through there, this piece of sheet metal goes on the inside, and then there was like a seam sealer which was applied down in here to keep water from getting underneath that piece of metal to the windshield frame. And over time that stuff dries out and cracks, and when it does, it holds water in there instead of prevents it. So it actually makes the problem worse. I pulled all the suspension components off of this car in order to do some upgrades, as well as do some cleaning and extra welding in some of the critical areas. Inside the shock towers was one of those. There's also some bracing that I'm going to add to help stiffen those areas up. The the upper control arm holes have been relocated down 1 inch, which is the arning drop, which helps the geometry of the suspension on the front to where it holds the turns better. I did add 2 torque boxes to it. The one on the driver's side was in pretty rough shape. That was kind of a fun little deal to get in there. You basically have to cut the old one out and then try to work it up underneath the frame rail between it and the outer rocker. But I did manage to get everything put in and welded up. The driver's side drip rail was a little bit more extensive. I had a lot of rust issues down inside of that. So I actually drilled all the spot welds out and cut that right here so that I could remove it to repair the rust underneath. And then I'll take this piece that came off of it. I'll still have a little bit more rust repair to do right there. And this entire piece will actually go back up in the car and be re-welded. Then I'll smooth that down and add some seam sealer back, and no one will ever know that it's been off except for who sees this video. In one of the other videos I was watching, the guy was having some problems with some burn through when he was doing some butt welds on his sheet metal, like I did here on my floor pans. And one solution that I came up with was to take a piece of 3/4 inch copper pipe, flatten it out, then actually either take some magnets or some clamps of some sort and position it behind your weld as tight up against the back of the sheet metal as you can, and that absorbs the heat and the weld will not stick to that copper. So it actually kind of helps you in a couple of different areas as far as being able to do those butt welds without having to burn through or burn the edges of your sheet metal up. So of course most of you guys probably already know that trick, but it's just something I thought was real interesting and it helped me out a lot. I'm still working on getting the paint off the car. I actually repainted this car in 86 or 87, not too long after we purchased it. As I said in my previous video, my wife found this car in a trader paper and we purchased it, and it was yellow when I got it, so I figured I'd paint it back yellow. I did, not realizing how bad the previous paint job was. We basically just wet sanded the car, did a little bit of minor body work and sprayed it. And of course over time now you can see that the paint has definitely deteriorated. But now this time, since there was 2 previous paint jobs on it, I am taking it all the way back down to the metal so that I can repair any of the rust issues and get a good base for a future paint job to go on it. This was painted with polyurethane when I painted it the last time. This time I'm going to go ahead and use base coat, clear coat. After watching VW Darren's channel and everything, I think I'm going to go to my local Matrix dealer and I'm going to try Matrix products. They seem like they're a real high-end product, which is what I want to do on this car because I do not want to have to go through this again. Around the back window I've also got some issues that I have to address as far as rust. These cars again had the rear window trim inset around the window glass, and unfortunately the shape of the sheet metal held water in really badly, especially down here along these lower corners where it goes into the trunk filler piece. So I'm going to have to finish getting the rest of the rust and the lead out, which I'm then going to replace with fiberglass. I don't want to put the lead back, it's prone to cracking. So I'll get the rest of that done, and then of course inside the rear quarters I've still got to finish getting a little bit of rust down there. There's a little bit better picture of the quarter panel replacement, the new, where I'd welded everything else on this car. I used some of the body panel adhesive like James Freddy used to put the door skin on one of those Toyotas, I think it was. That stuff seems to work pretty well. It smells really bad, but it seemed to hold it really well because I was worried about doing the welding down the center of that quarter panel, afraid it would actually buckle it and make it look wavy. So far it's actually held up really well. It's been in there about 8 months, and so far it shows no signs of delamination or coming apart. Of course, I still have the lower trunk drop-off to replace. I kind of waited on that until after I got that quarter panel positioned and got the patch and everything put in place, and then I'll actually take and cut that out. I've got a new one to go in place of it, but I didn't want to have both reference points cut out before I got one or the other replaced. That way I know that everything has to go back in one area. I have cleaned the wheel wells out pretty well. The passenger side I've actually got cleaned out and got the rust stop painted in it. This one here I've got all the paint and the undercoating and stuff stripped and most of my metal repair done. I've got a few little areas that I'm going to get a little deeper with the the media blaster to get some rust out of those pits before I put any type of a rust preventative back in here. I did have to do a repair on the rear quarter panel on this side where the edge of that lip was actually rotted off. But I got that back in there and got it welded, and I've still got to do a little bit of either fiberglass or some type of filler work on that, so it looks pretty good. This is one area that's left inside the car that I still have to do some rust removal. This kind of gives you an idea, and this really isn't anything compared to what the rest of the inside of the car looked like as far as the condition of the rust and the sheet metal. The roof was extremely bad because I guess of the wool or whatever it was that they had used for insulation in '67. It's almost like it held moisture inside of the roof of the car. It was terrible. It took me 4 days to grind all the rust and stuff out of the underneath of it, and then to treat it with the rust preventative product that I'm using. It's called Rust Bullet. It's pretty good stuff. I know one thing, once that stuff dries, you can't hardly grind it off. So I had to really kind of watch and plan out how I was doing everything to make sure that I didn't have to try and re-weld around some of this stuff that I put on there. About the only way I found to get it off easily is actually do some welding or try and burn it off. I've also got some issues right here in the quarters, right where the rear window is going into the sail panel. These were real prone to cracking right in around this lead joint, so I'm going to end up taking the paint and the lead out of it and make sure everything's welded up securely, and then go back with fiberglass. So I guess that's a pretty good overview of the car. Any questions, comments, I look forward to seeing them all, reading them, responding to any questions that y'all might have. I'm relatively new to this. I've done a couple of cars in the past for friends. It wasn't nearly this extensive. It was basically, you know, sand and do the body work on the exterior of the car and then repaint them for them. This was a whole new endeavor as far as from the ground up. But hope y'all like my videos. Please rate them, and if you've got any questions or any comments, please feel free to post those and I'll respond. Thank you.